Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the GHE Diaries. Today, we have with us Rolf Palgaard, who has been part of multiple expeditions with GHE. And it's the Christmas time, the end of the year, but we thought we'd come up with one last episode, a special one in this case. And there you go. Welcome, Rolf.
Thank you, Vijay. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you here, Rolf. It's been long due. And to kickstart things, Rolf, can you give us a brief introduction about yourself and how you've and just let's start with that and then, take it from there.
Yes. My name is Rolf. I have been with GHE since 2014, actually, since I went on the first expedition. I have been a team lead on numerous expeditions, and unfortunately, due to COVID, I have not been able to go the past few years. But I'm looking forward to extend my relationship with GHE even further, which I'm sure we'll get back to along the way. Um, One of the reasons I actually came in touch with GHE was because at the time, flight psychologist, because I was in flight training many years ago for the Danish Air Force, but through US Navy. I had a psychiatrist allocated from the Danish Air Force. You always need to be able to talk about your problems. But she was a really interesting lady, and she later came to work for youths in the Middle East, especially women at universities. And she went to the South Pole on one of the trips that Paras went to in 2012. Uh, and then in 2013, she went on the same trip. I talked to her about that experience, and I said, "Oh, I would love to do something like that." The year after, she told me she would be going in 2014, would be going to the GHE expedition, and she said, "Why don't you apply?" And I did, and I have been part of the GHE family ever since.
You've been on an expedition in 2014. You came to GHE in 2014 as a participant, then in 2015 as well, and 2016, which is when you came as a team leader.
I came back in as a team leader already in 15. So in 14, I was just on the expedition. Paras's wedding was a month after, and he said, "Why don't you come to my wedding?" I went straight home, told my wife the very next day, and said, "Why don't we go on for an extended weekend to India for a wedding?" And she did. So we went back and talked about some more, and Para said, "Well, why don't you come back as a team lead?" So I did that in 15, 16, and 17.
17, yes. And that leads me to my first question, actually, Rolf, for you. I mean, what attracted you so much to this initiative? I mean, I have talked to a lot of Lumina members who've been on these expeditions, let's say for 1 year or 2 years. At max, maybe 3 years, but you've yourself counted four separate expeditions on 4 separate years. What attracted you so much to this particular initiative, and did you have a history with the Himalayas or the mountains in general before coming to GHE as well?
Well, I had never been. I'd been living in back in 1995, 96. I went to Jammu in Kashmir because my father was with the UN. So I lived 3 months in a field station in Kashmir at the time, and also in Islamabad, and I really loved the the whole atmosphere and the people there. And I really remember the need that people had for support there, and I thought that it would be a great way to come back and just to do some interesting trekking and visit India, which is really close to my heart, to be honest. So the opportunity to come back and connect with people and just being in the mountains and in the nature, as rough as it is, and just walking makes it hard to breathe, is just something you need, that everybody should be experiencing.
Okay. And out of all these expeditions that you've been to, Rolf, I mean, based upon your uh, history with the Himalayas as well, which particular expedition was your favorite expedition in terms of, let's say, the impact, the terrain, the challenges that you faced out of all the four ones?
They all have different uniquenesses to them, I would actually say, but that The most impact is probably, or the one that really stands out as an impact or as a unique installation was the one we did at Fukto Monastery. To see that monastery lit up in the night, a most beautiful night with the river and everybody standing there, that was a truly unique experience. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. In terms of a unique expedition, would probably be the year after, where we actually went a day further into the mountains for Shade,
Yes.
the expedition known as Extreme GHE. I slept for a week after that one. I was really tired coming home from that. That was really a unique trip, and to be honest, it was truly a team effort that we made that, and I I gained some really good, close personal relationships on that trip as well. Besides the GHE family already, but from some of the participants, even a truly unique experience.
I mean, listening to you, I think that you've made some very beautiful memories of these all these trips and these expeditions, and that takes me to my next question, which is again part of the first question itself. Why did you come back and back to GHE? I mean, for these expeditions, you, as you said, that you've had an history of living in the Himalayas with your father. Uh, from there to going to these remote villages in Ladakh, in the Himalayas, at temperatures and at altitudes no one has ever imagined of. What made you come back again and again? And the second part of this particular question is, how did that transformation happen from, as you shared in your introduction, from Navy to someone into the social development sector, wherein now you are four expeditions is a big number, and as you shared in your introduction, you're working as a consultant as well. So I mean, how did that transformation happen from Navy? Two-part question there.
I we had a Danish philosopher called Kierkegaard. He says that life should be experienced forward and then connect the dots backwards. So you should always explain it backwards. If I look today and say, why did this happen? I cannot give you a good straight answer, but it makes sense to where I am today and the fact that a lot of opportunities arose, and instead of thinking too much about it, I just followed my heart and said, this is something I want to do. And my close connection with Paras and his brother Varun as well, who's also a dear friend of mine, and JD. I actually participated in all three weddings that they had. um, but to that close relationship and to support that really unique initiative that they have, I just feel that it makes sense to support it. I mean, when I go to the mountains, as an example, I go to the mountains, I go into a small village, I know they have nothing, and still they give everything they have to me, a complete stranger that walks into their house and they greet me with with uh, with the local chung. They give me their tea, they give me biscuits, they give me the best bed of the house, they give me everything they can, and they have nothing. I mean, how can we're one planet with one people in it? How come the people that have the least are the one that gives the most? That makes no sense to me. I mean, we're obligated to give something back to those communities so they can succeed on their own. And for that, GHE is uh, a unique experience that it actually supports the community while at the same time preserving the culture, preserving their pride, and not just giving it to them. They're actually, they have to work for it, and it gives them a sense of pride as well. And I think that's an important part of the GHE story here that most people overlook when they help people. Yeah.
That takes me to my next question. You've mentioned that your family has been closely associated with what you've done at GHE. What do they think of the work that you've been able to do in GHE, and has anyone ever come along on an expedition with you?
Yes, I my mother was with us for my father's journey there in Jammu back in the days, and she actually started to become a geologist, and she loves the Himalayas. So I told her back in 2017, said, "What do you want for your birthday?" And she said she couldn't think of anything. Um, so I gave her a trip to the Himalayas. So actually, Paras helped me create a small expedition for just 3 households, and I gave her that for her birthday. And when I gave her that and a pair of hiking boots, she just looked at me like completely stunned and said, "I didn't even know, but that was exactly what I wanted. I didn't know until I got it. It was like, is that even a possibility?" And then we brought my, at that time, 9-year-old son on that expedition. So it was my mom, and so it was 3 generations who went and electrified Ursidag, was just a small village not too far away from Leh. But the experience and my mother who got to do that, the trekking was more than enough for her and for my son, who remember coming into that household. He looked at it going, "Dad, the whole house is no much bigger than my room, and still they're smiling and happy, and they're really nice." It's like, yeah, that's how most people actually live. We're really fortunate, and he really took that back, and thinks about that a lot.
That's so sweet, and that's so nice that you were able to gift your mother such a beautiful gift. And I mean, taking down 3 generations onto such an experience wherein they see the impact that three souls or 3 human beings can have, a lifelong impact in such a
Hmm.
remote place, is something that I feel that everyone should try, and
Hmm.
everyone should have an experience. Because I mean, out of 7 billion people, if even 1 billion chooses to help another 1 billion, that's half the problem solved currently. So
And
as
that's
you
what I that's my whole belief, and that's exactly why I'm trying to I'm actually trying right now to create an NGO organization out of Denmark. I've been thinking about it for some time, and I was out telling my story to my some friends from my father-in-law. He invited me and said, "Can you tell my friends about what it is that you're doing, and tell them about GHE and the trips and everything?" And it turns out that these guys were industry. Uh, I mean, corporate directors, now retired, but they were previous corporate directors of 8 big companies. And some of them are sitting there going, "Okay, I need to challenge this one. So what do you do with this? What do you do with this? What do you do with this?" And I answered them just as I would. And they go, "Yeah, you need to do more with this. You need to start something. You need to do something. I will connect you with somebody." And I got a different kind of push, and I talked to some lawyers, and I talked to some accountants and stuff, and they and that actually leads to I now have my first, as I call it, advisor, somebody that is willing to invest uh, up to $50,000 to support what it is that I do, and I want to find 10 of those, and then find out how do I start this NGO. And Paris has been extremely helpful, and I you've been extremely helpful in creating a beautiful video that I now use to share with possible candidates for this. So I think it's a really interesting journey. So it hasn't stopped at all. It's even becoming more interesting as we go. So I just want to get even more on board this train.
No, that's great news. Thank you for sharing that about that your NGO, and that you've been able to get your first advisor on board. That's wonderful to hear, and we from the team of GHE wish you all the very best for this endeavor, and are there
Thank
to
you.
support you whenever you need it. Uh, this question I've been meaning to ask this question from the start of our conversation. You've shared that because of your history of living in the Himalayas, you were inclined towards working with those communities. But if you have to share it with the world out there in this one episode, why do these remote communities need to be supported, and what all what is the potential of supporting these communities? What will your message be?
Well, first of all, I think the environmental impact that we need to think about is fundamental to surviving on this planet. So I think we all need to think differently. And if we want to help the remote communities, we need to give them a sustainable lift to be self-sufficient. So we need to help them to not just give them a fish. We need to teach them how to fish in a sustainable way. And when that's said, you need to go and experience what is needed, because what we think is needed and what we think is important based on our needs in a developed country, and what is actually important when you go there, is two very different things. And you don't understand it unless you go there and see it. I'm not telling everybody to board a plane, because that's not environmental friendly either. So I would actually say support the cause of supporting these villages, and then go and see for yourself every 1 out of 10 times you support, and then go out there and support that way. Because of course we're not going to be flying all over the world to help somebody save some CO2 in a region that doesn't add up. You need to help people help themselves. You can do that remotely, but you also need to experience how the impact works, because that's when it connects with you, and that's why you continue. And I think that's where GHE has found a unique key to that.
Thank you for sharing that, Rolf. And building on this question itself, if there's a potential participant looking at this, hearing to this particular episode right now, one message from your end, to probably help distinguish between any XYZ tour or expedition and this impact expedition that is conducted by GHE, what will that message look like?
If you're looking for an opportunity to look at yourself, just putting your life on pause for just a second, and realize what you have and what potential you're realizing, and at the same time contribute to altering somebody else's life completely with minimum effort, in fact, this is a unique opportunity to have to go and impact somebody, but also to get a different perspective on yourself, and just put your life on pause for 2 weeks. I promise you, you will not regret it. I have not met a single alumni who said it was a waste of time or money in any way. This is a really good opportunity for most people, and I cannot stress enough how rewarding it has been for me.
And to back that answer up, do you mind? Do you want to share some of the moments from your expeditions? Any particular experience that comes to your mind? As you're sharing that, why should someone go on an expedition? One supporting example, if you may.
I have so many. But I mean, there. One thing that comes to mind was one of the first expeditions we were on. We visited a school in Mahabodhi, and we visited the where the children stayed when for the ones that do not go home, because they're so far away from their villages, so they actually live at school. So we went there and visited them, and then we just decided to play a soccer goal, just to, to play soccer, just on random, just sprung at the moment. And to I remember us 20 people playing soccer against 150 kids or something like that. They were all over the place, half our height. And it was amazing to just see them laugh, and just to be with the kids. How, I mean, really inspiring, and just, it was a really amazing experience. And I love the kids out there. They're so curious, they're so positive, they really want to grow and learn. And I love the fact that we can give them an opportunity to to go that step farther than just do become a farmer or a taxi driver at Leh or something like that, but they actually aspire to become more, and to support a different kind of growth for the community, while maintaining that crucial um, that crucial culture that they have, which is amazing.
I guess we just talked for the first time today, but I feel like I already know you. The kind of experiences that you've shared and the kind of thoughts that you've shared, I can correlate to those because I've been to the Himalayas, I've been to Ladakh, I've been to these remote communities and see the impact that GHC has been able to do. Hence, I've seen what you're talking about, and I hope that we were able to communicate the same to all the participants or all the potential viewers who can be potential participants in the expeditions that we're starting next year. Any final thoughts before we end this episode, Rolf?
I don't know. I mean, for me, it's quite simple. If you ever get the opportunity, don't think about it, just do it.
Just do it, and that's the that's the key takeaway then. Well, it's been wonderful, Rolf. Thank you for your time, and for the audience who are listening to us, we'll be back with another episode. Till then, stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you.